I started to assault the success of the movie similarly. I started asking people, like, why is it successful? Because I thought it was successful because it was funny. And somebody that knew me really well put their hand on my heart and said, because it's about you.
Wow. What was the movie you worked on that you learned the most about yourself?
8 Mile.
Really?
Well, Splash first. Because with Splash, for 6 years, I'd written the story. I wrote the script for Splash, but the script wasn't particularly good. I got great writers to write it, Lowell Jansen, Bob Lou Mantel. But
so you wrote a draft, and they kind of helped flesh it out more.
I wrote two drafts.
Yeah.
But I'm good at writing scenes, but not dialogue. Because the dialogue, well, first of all, it's a skill.
Yeah.
And Lowell and Bob Lou are expert at that. They wrote also Night Shift, and they worked on like 6 or 7 movies that I produced. Mm-hmm. And they even worked on some Jim Carrey movies.
Wow. Did
some rewrites on The Grinch and on Liar Liar.
Wow.
So they were my go-to guys. But anyway, so on the movie Splash, after I finally get Splash made, the mermaid movie. But I knew it was much more than a mermaid movie. It was a love story. Mm-hmm. And it was a heightened love story because it was essentially about me trying to find love in the city of Los Angeles, which I found would be impossible. So I would ask, in writing, I assault a question repeatedly over and over again to like, why do I need to fall in love? Mm-hmm. And then I have a reason for why I want to fall in love. And then how would I find love? And what does love do? We just continue to ask these questions. And when you continually answer these questions that essentially are the heartbeat theses of, in this case, this romantic comedy, mm-hmm. you start creating scenes out of that.
Sure.
Okay. So, and then I thought, at some point I have to make the girl even more unattainable, like in the third act. I have to accelerate our third act and make it so the scenes are not repetitive. And I thought it would also be interesting to make it a fantasy. And so I was able to achieve a lot by making her a mermaid. It made her unattainable.
Right.
It gave a woman power, because you see that the girl has power. Like when she jumps in the ocean, we sort of cut these scenes, but she's able to shoot out. We shot her out of a cannon out in the ocean.
Wow.
In the Bahamas. It showed that she could leap in the air and swim underwater and do things, with power and agility. And so that was a great trait. So it was unattainability, a fantasy, because mermaids always have a fantasy dimension.
Sure.
They're always thought of as pretty. They're mythic, and she had power. And I eventually get it made, and John Candy's in it. He's really funny, super funny, and Tom is great, and Daryl. And so I started to think to myself, I started to assault the success of the movie similarly. I started asking people, like, why is it successful? Because I thought it was successful because it was funny. And somebody that knew me really well put their hand on my heart and said, because it's about you.
Wow.
So I thought that was really revealing, and it changed the way I approach storytelling. It made me feel like I have to constantly just inform myself, with information, bombard myself with information of all types of information, but really rely upon informed intuition, the truth of that intuition, to birth ideas for movies or television shows. And just definitely don't prognosticate some new trend. Or don't prognosticate what the audience. I don't ever go like, well, the audience will feel this, or I know the audience will do. I don't know the audience will do anything, but I do know how I will feel.
Right.
If I'm focused on if I have clarity on how I feel and what I think and my truths and my authenticity, I try to represent that, and that becomes the sort of metric for what I think is funny or real or emotional or has feeling. And so that trust is the thing that that is my compass to everything.